Okay, guys, I have some very alarming, very disturbing news coming from Baltimore. Almost half of Baltimore high school students have less than 1.0 GPA. While admins are getting paid millions. Please hit that like button, share this video, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this alarming issue and subscribe to the channel because I am going to talk about this. I've spoken about this in some fashion months ago and it's returning now. Now imagine this. Imagine you sent your son to get tutored, okay, by a professional who has certain methods that should work, and your son receives an F. Does that tutor deserve to get recommended or paid any longer? Right, you could pay them for this, but are you going to go to that tutor again? Well, apparently these administration, the staff is getting paid millions regardless of the outcome. Whether these students are passing or failing, these admins are getting paid millions. Please watch this for yourself, and we're going to discuss a little bit of this after.
Baltimore City Schools reaches an alarming low in student performance.
As Project Baltimore's Chris Papps has learned, nearly half of high school students in Baltimore City this year earned a grade point average below a 1.
Almost half. I hope you heard this correctly. Half. Almost half.
Big take.
When Giovanni Patterson ran for Baltimore City Council president last year,
Yet, despite the amount of money they get, we don't see much change.
he ran on a platform that included accountability and education.
Our schools outspend 97% of other major school districts.
And when Project Baltimore showed him how Baltimore City students have been doing this year,
This is terrible.
here is how he reacted.
This is just further perpetuating the cycle of poverty, blight, despair.
This chart was assembled by Baltimore City Schools and obtained by Project Baltimore. It shows the average GPA for every high school grade in the city, freshman through senior. In the first 3 quarters of this past school year, according to the chart, 41% of all Baltimore City high school students earned below a 1.0 grade.
How? 41%. What? Oh, my goodness, man. Baltimore, okay. It is one of those poverty-stricken parts of U.S., Baltimore. What's going on there? In the home, I want to know. What's happening in the home? Is it a one-parent household where it's mostly the woman and she has 2 or 3 jobs, several kids, trying to hold it down, while the father is not there, probably in jail, or unfortunately not on this earth anymore? Let me just put it that way. There's an issue. Is it that the children are not putting forth the effort? Why aren't they putting forth the effort? What's going on? Because black people, and I could say this is a predominantly black spot what they're talking about. I could certainly say that. And we're smart. We're not dumb. We know how to take in information. We know how to speak. We choose to speak slang. We're not as dumb as is being promoted. We could do better than this. Let me quit talking.
Grade point average. In other words, nearly half of the roughly 20,600 public high school students
20,600 public high school students. 20,006, nearly half of that.
in Baltimore earned less than a D average.
Wow.
It's heartbreaking. If almost half of our kids are failing, what options do they have after high school? This is really disheartening. And it's sad to see this, man.
On the other end of this chart, 21% of city high school students earned a GPA of 3.0 or better, a B average. About half as many who earned below a D. We can also see the district lost more than 700 high school students during the first 3 quarters of this year. In January, City School CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises first sounded the alarm, saying the course failure rate for students had nearly doubled during the COVID shutdowns. A few months later, in May, North Avenue announced students would not be held back for failing classes.
Students would not be held back for failing classes, which means you're going to be advanced to the next grade with lack of knowledge or understanding of what you've learned previously, and it gets tougher as you increase. So now you're going to get added to the next grade, more information that you do not understand, adding to this gap of understanding. This is ridiculous.
This most recent GPA data could show us why North Avenue made that decision. During this,
And rewind.
be held back.
Rewind.
The course failure rate for students had nearly doubled during the COVID shutdown.
During the COVID shutdown, I wanted to get to that point. Many people were home. COVID shutdown was only supposed to be for 2 weeks, maybe a month. Who do you think that's going to affect the most? Who do you think? Need I say more? And you think, oh, you're saving grandma. They kept using, oh no, you know, if the kids go to school and they contract this, you're bringing it home to grandma. Did they really care about grandma? Or was this purposely done to kind of affect a certain group of people who would highly get affected by these lockdowns? We get affected by everything. So before this happened, did they even put into their brain as to which group would be affected the most by this?
A few months later, in May, North Avenue announced students would not be held back for failing classes. This most recent...
Yeah, and this adds to it. You'll not be held back. So you're going with no knowledge of the previous grade, added to no knowledge of what you're going to get presently in the next grade. How does that help?
GPA data could show us why North Avenue made that decision. During the second quarter of the 2019-2020 school year, just before COVID hit, 24% of high school students had a GPA below 1.
24%. 2019-2020, 24% have a GPA of less than 1.
Now, it's 41%.
Now it's 41. That's during the lockdown. So that thing just went 20% up.
City Schools declined an interview, but told us in a statement the COVID-19 pandemic created significant disruptions to student learning. Starting this summer and beyond, City Schools is providing students with a variety of opportunities to acquire the unfinished learning they lost.
And I gotta say, yes, this affected all races, right? But I am talking about the race that it really going to affect more. Okay. Let me continue.
Not gone. It's not going anywhere.
City Council President Nick Mosby, who defeated Patterson in the election, is reportedly under investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice concerning campaign finances, business, and tax records. Project Baltimore emailed and called Mosby's office, requesting an interview to discuss these numbers concerning student GPAs. We never heard back.
These people don't care, man. It's they come from the same environment. You know, Nick Mosby is a product of Baltimore City Schools. Brandon Scott's a product of Baltimore City Schools, and they see what's going on. But then when you bring this to them, they don't care.
It's sad to say, sometimes it's always your own peoples. They come from the same neighborhood. They went to this the system. So you put them in position, hoping that because they were in that environment, they have some type of idea of how to change it and make it more suitable and better for those upcoming generation. But at the end of the day, they end up falling victim to the money. They all fall in love with the dollar bill. They all get bought out. Why does this happen? And how do we fix it? Comment below, how do we fix this type of broken system? We're hiring people that was in the system, that grew up in this district, that was in these schools. Because this is what we want to do. This is what you want to do. You want to put people who were in this position, like, what ideas do you have? How do you make this better? You went through it. You know how hard it is. You know how hard it is growing up in that environment. So how do you make it much better? What do you do? And those same people you put in that position are pocketing the money, allegedly.
They don't care at all. You have to raise the standard. Everyone should be speaking out about this.
Project Baltimore reached out to the other school systems in our area requesting their GPA data. We were told by all of them that it's not readily available.
That needs to be available. We need to see, is it happening in the other districts, in the other schools? That needs to be seen. This needs to be spoken about. We know what the problem is. Well, maybe, right? But we need to find solutions. Or we need to at least get to the bottom of it and pinpoint what is really happening. Why are these students failing? Is it the teaching structure? Should they just tear the whole system down and do something completely new? Because this is not working. This is making us look horrible. We need something completely new. So this is what I got. Like, it concerns me because I want to see us do well. This is why I talk about these type of stories. I try to have little uplifting comments when I'm walking down in the street, getting inspiration from Yahweh, you know, to give to you, to kind of uplift you, to teach you, to give you some positive vibes. I also got to talk about these school systems and these negative outcomes that's been happening recently. It exists. The children are our future. And if the present is like this, imagine how the future is going to be. So we need to nail this, get to the bottom of this, see what's going on, find good people that we could put in these positions, People who are not going to take our kids for granted. People who are really going to get this connection between teachers and parents. Get the parents involved. Get the students involved. Get them motivated to learn. Get them energized. How do you do that? It's sort of like a basketball team. When you see, oh, this basketball team, yeah, it got talent, yeah, it got potential, but a lot of potential are in the cemetery. And the last thing you want is someone at your wake saying, so and so had potential. We don't want that. We want to explore all of that. We want to bring all of that out right here, right now. We need to focus on these students, their gifts that they have. How? We need the right coach for the right team. We need the right teacher for the students. We need to put these counselors in the right positions. We need to do this. We need to make us look good. We're getting spit on. We're getting stepped on. We're getting crapped on. And that needs to stop. Y'all need to get tired of this. To the point where Baltimore got to stand up. Parents got to stand up. They got to be picketing. This whole Black Lives Matter all over the streets. This is what we should be marching for. This is what they should be marching for. Because if Black lives really matter, then you would want to march or be in front of that school demanding what is going on. Why are these kids failing? I'm Slimmy V. And if you're not offended, you probably wasn't watching or listening. This is the most offensive podcast ever. God bless, stress less, and let Yahweh do the rest. I'm out. Peace.